Hello, it is Thursday, 27th of November 2025, and yesterday Labour announced their autumn budget. Chancellor Rachel Reeves delivered her first budget, setting out big changes that will affect families, workers, businesses, and public services. Income tax thresholds will remain frozen until 2028, pulling more earners into higher tax bands and raising £8 billion. Dividend and savings taxes will also rise. From April 2026, the two-child benefit cap will be scrapped, lifting an estimated 450,000 children out of poverty. Reid said families often struggle after losing a partner, separating, falling ill, or losing a job, and children should not suffer because of that. She explained that when a parent loses a partner, their household income can collapse overnight, leaving them suddenly unable to support more than two children under the old rules. That's why she argued the cap was unfair. We also promised to abolish the so-called rape clause, calling it grotesque, dehumanising and cruel. The clause was an exception to the two-child cap. Women who already had two children could still claim benefits for a third if they prove that that child was conceived through rape or coercion. Campaigners said forcing survivors to disclose and evidence such trauma was degrading, and Reeves vowed to remove the requirement entirely. The government says it will deliver £4.9 billion of efficiencies by 2031, including abolishing police and crime commissioners. A wider plan to cut the cost of politics will save a further £250 million by 2030, reorganising local government and reducing council numbers by around 5,000. Capital gains tax relief for employee ownership trusts will be halved. A new mansion tax will apply to homes worth more than £2 million. Business rates will be cut for shops, pubs, restaurants, and leisure venues, but large warehouses used by online giants will pay more. Companies newly listing on the London Stock Exchange will get a 3-year stamp duty holiday. From 2028, drivers of electric cars will pay a mileage levy of 3p per mile. Ride-hailing apps like Uber and Bolt will pay full VAT on fares. Rail fares will be frozen for the first time in 30 years, and the Docklands Light Railway will be extended to Thamesmead. From 2029, national insurance will be charged on pension contributions above £2,000 a year. The basic state pension will rise by £440 annually, and the new state pension by £575. Cash ISA limits will be cut to £12,000, though over 65s will keep the full £20,000. Fuel duty will stay frozen until September. Household energy bills will fall by approximately £150 a year, funded by scrapping the Energy Company Obligation Scheme. £300 million will be invested in NHS technology. 250 new neighbourhood health centres will be built, with more than 100 expected by 2030 in places including Birmingham, Truro and Southall. Prescription charges in England will stay at £9.90. Britain will also be spending approximately 2.6% of its GDP on defence. Then from next April, the national living wage will rise, along with the minimum wage and the minimum apprentice wages. Northern Ireland will receive £317 million, Wales £505 million, and Scotland £820 million. £13 billion of flexible funding will go to 7 regional mayors for investment in skills, business support, and infrastructure. The Office for Budget Responsibility, which is the independent watchdog that checks the government's numbers, says that growth will be slower than expected at 1.4% in 2026 and 1.5% for the rest of the decade. Inflation is forecast at 3.5% this year and 2.5% next. Reeves has said her financial cushion, the money set aside for emergencies, has doubled to £22 billion by 2029 to 2030, giving protection against future shocks. Campaigners have pointed out what's missing. There's little detail on crime, policing, or tackling violence against women and girls. Beyond abolishing the rape clause, the budget offered no new funding for women's services, domestic abuse support, or wider justice reforms, leaving critics to say these gaps must now be addressed. Some critics have also suggested that the working age people are being punished, whilst those that have already retired can live in domestic bliss. Let me know what you think about this budget. How does it affect you? How does it affect your family? Look forward to having the conversation in the comments. And come follow me on all the social medias and my Substack. All free to like, comment, subscribe. And I will see you tomorrow for our Friday news headlines.